Hey everyone, it's Alvin here for Little Athletics New South Wales with another Hints and Tips videos for age managers and volunteer helpers. In today's event, not only do you need a little bit of strength, but you also need some sound technique. Today we're going to talk about shot put. So shot put is one of our throwing events, but we don't actually want to throw the shot. What we want to do is to push the shot. Now what the athlete needs to do is to push this shot as far as they can. Now the shot is a metal ball. Now in this video, I'm going to give you some hints and tips to make your shot put experience hopefully a lot easier. Now one thing I do love about our Little Athletics centres is how unique some of them are. In the triple jump video, you would have seen a 3-metre board, which is very rarely seen, but they use that for beginners. This centre has a multi-purpose circle. They use this circle not only for shot put, but as you can see there's a cage around it. They also use it for discus. And I know what some of you are saying, that the diameters are different, that's correct, but for this centre, that option works. So before we can conduct the event, we need to make sure that the circle is safe to use and that we have the right equipment. So the basic equipment you will need to run shot put is a measuring tape, a spike, the actual shot put itself. Now most centres will supply you 2 to 3. You'll see what we'll use the cone for a little bit later, but you'll also need a broom just in case you need to sweep out the circle. So when checking the circle, just make sure that it's clear and free of debris and water. That is why we need the broom, just in case we have to sweep some debris out or brush the water out. Now as you can see, there's a stopboard at the front. Now these stopboards are permanently here, but a lot of centres you will have to put them in, and if you are required to put them in, just make sure that the inside of the board is lined up with the edge of the circle. Now as you can see, there's also a centre line mark, which is important when it comes to officiating, and you see 2 angled lines. Now the extension of those lines will be the sector markers out into the throwing area. Now you can find which age group uses what weight in our fact sheet. But to make things easier, the shot puts have been colour coded. So the pink is a 500 gram. The blue is a 1 kilo shot. The yellow is a 1.5 kilo. The orange is a 2 kilo. The white is a 3 kilo shot. The red is a 4 kilo. And the big one, which is green, is a 5 kilo shot. But today, we're going to use the orange. So what are some of the hints and tips that we can give kids? The first thing we need to tell them is how to hold the shot. Now, kids are really visual, so what I normally say is pretend that your hand's a cone and that the shot is some ice cream. And what you want to do is have the ice cream sit in the top half of the cone. Fingers wrap right around it. Now, as you can see, the shot will sit at the base of the fingers and not in the palm. A good way to check is if you can fit 2 or 3 fingers under the shot, it's a perfect hold. So here's a little tip for you. We always encourage kids to pick up the shot themselves, not only for safety, but 9 times out of 10, if they pick the shot up themselves, you'll actually see that they'll be holding the shot in a perfect shot put grip. I'll show you. So there you go, the perfect shot put grip. You have a go at it. So now they know how to hold it, where do we place it into our neck? Now I'm going to show you without the shot first. What we want kids to do is have their fingertips pointing towards their neck and their thumb towards their shoulder. Now as you can see, if I do that, my elbow comes up. Most kids will have their thumb close to their neck and their fingers pointing up and their elbow comes down. We want to make sure the elbow comes up. So fingertips towards the neck, thumb towards the shoulder. Just like that. Now the next question is, where in the neck do you put it? Very simple. I normally say just below the ear. You will find the meaty or the muscle part of the neck. Just place it in there. So once we know how to hold it and where to place it into our neck, the next thing we need to do is work out what we do with our other arm. Now we all know that we use our other arm to point. Now I see a lot of kids either pointing too high or too low. What we want to do is point at around about 45 degrees. So what I'd like to tell the kids is that aiming arm, plays a very important role. Not only does it tell our body where we want to push the shot, but what we want to do is when we finish pushing the shot, we sort of want to make sure that those hands swap positions. Let me show you. Because if those hands swap positions, we know that that's where the shot is going to be pushed. Now the next thing, did you notice how I finished in a specific motion? I finished palm out, thumb down. If I finish like that, that means my elbow will always stay up. A lot of kids finish in a stop sign. Now look what happens to my elbow if I finish in a stop sign. Somewhere along the line, my elbow has to drop. And remember in shot, we want to make sure our elbow stays up. So one of the tricks and hints that we use when we tell kids is when you finish pushing a shot, we want to finish palm out, thumb down. Now as you can see, if I finish palm out, thumb down, my elbow stays up the whole time. So when entering, leaving the circle, there are a few rules. You can enter the circle from any direction, but when leaving the circle, you must leave out of the back half. Now that can be confusing for some athletes. So one suggestion is to put a cone at the back of the circle and just have a rule where they have to go in through the back door, out through the back door, and then you'll never have a problem with it. Now once the athlete walks into the circle, they move up to the front and they put their opposite foot to their throwing hand in front and make sure they're side on. Here's a little hint for you. A lot of people tell the kids to butt their foot right up against the stop board. The only problem with that is it's hard for that front foot to swivel or pivot. So an idea is to put that foot a little bit behind the stop board, which allows that front foot to swivel and pivot during the push. Now what you will see a lot of kids will do is when they do shot, they'll do a lot of this forwards and backwards movement. That's okay because for a lot of kids, they're trying to get a little bit of rhythm. But I normally say only do it maybe 2 or 3 times, otherwise you could be there all night if everyone does it. Now what you want them to do is when they lean back, is to have a little bit of a twist, quick turn, finish up tall, push and finish palm out, thumb down. The basic bits of equipment you need is a tape measure and your spike. Now don't forget, the first thing you need to do is to thread the tape measure over the spike, let it drop and make sure that the centimeters is facing upwards. Just like in those other measuring events, the person with the spike is always spiking where the shot is hitting the ground. So here we're lucky, the shot has left a big impression. Now the measurement is not taken from the front of the impression or the middle, but the back edge, which is closest to the shot circle. Now as you can see, this ground is really hard and it's hard to put the spike in. So what you'll need to do is take it off and use your hands. In shot put, the tape is pulled back directly through the middle of the circle. Now generally when you're doing shot put, you have 3 helpers, someone spiking, someone pulling the tape through the middle, and another person recording. But sometimes there's only 2 of you. Now let me show you a little trick if you are the person who has to take the measure and you still have to pull it through the center of the shot circle. Use your back foot to hold the tape through the middle of the circle and then you can look forward to take the measurement. The measurement is always taken at the inside rim of the stopboard. So this measurement is 6 meters and 44 centimeters. So how's that? Measuring is that easy. Don't forget, the person spiking must spike the closest break to the board. The person pulling the tape has to make sure that tape gets pulled through the middle of that shot put circle. And the person measuring has to make sure that the measurement is taken from the inside of the stopboard, which lines up with the front of the shot put circle. Now don't forget the little trick that I showed you. And if you have to do both the pulling of the tape and measuring out, is using your back foot to help you pull it through the middle of the circle. So when is a foul in shot put recorded? The first one, unlike in tennis where on the line is in shot put, on the line is actually out. So any part of the shot hits a line, it will be a foul. If the shot pulls away from the neck any time during the putting action, that is also deemed as a foul. But be careful, because sometimes when kids turn their heads, the shot actually stays in position. It's just their head pulls away. That's a little bit of a difficult one. But if any time the shot actually pulls away from the neck, that is also a foul. Now we know we have to push the shot. So if the shot is thrown in any way, of course, that is a foul. Whilst in the circle, it is also a foul if the foot hits any part of the top of the stopboard. On the inside is okay, but any part on top of the stopboard is a foul. Or if you touch anywhere outside of the circle, on any of the area outside the circle, it is a foul. But it's okay if it goes over the top but doesn't touch. We can enter the circle from any direction but have to leave via the back half of the circle. It's also a foul if the athlete leaves the circle in an uncontrolled manner. So here are some safety tips for you. Make sure that the shots that you're using is nice and smooth and there's no rough edges. Make sure that if any of the kids are waiting, that they're all waiting behind the circle right away, so there's no chance of them being hit. Now make sure all the judges are outside the sector lines, especially the ones that are spiking. And the other thing is making sure the sector lines are actually further than what the kids can push. Now make sure that whoever's retrieving the shots, that they don't roll it or throw it back. Make sure they carry it back and place a shot down on the ground for the athletes to pick up. Now making sure that the athlete does not push or have their turn before being told. Now a handy tip to speed the night up or the event up, if you're not already doing it, is making sure that you have some pegs, numbered pegs with you. So what happens is after a person pushes out the shot, instead of having to measure every single throw, you just put a numbered peg out where it lands. And then on their second turn, if they beat it, you can then move the peg. Then once everyone has had their push, you just measure each of the pegs and the measurement goes to the corresponding name. So there you have it, some hints and tips for shot put. I know there's a lot to remember, but as you can see, that there are some techniques which transfer from one event to another to make things a lot easier for you. And believe it or not, if you can master the hints and tips for shot put, your other two throwing events become a lot easier. Don't forget, all these tips can be found on our website with our event fact sheets. Also, check out our YouTube channel where you can find playlists such as our Little Athletics at Home videos, where kids can practice their athletics at home using modified equipment that they can make themselves. We also have videos with coach interviews and how-to videos as well. Well everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you feel a lot more confident in helping out Little Athletics, but just remember a couple of things. Go out there, give it a go, but more importantly, be your best. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to send us an email or give us a call at the Little Athletics office.